Hello everyone, I am Astha Kagrana and in this video we will be learning about visual perception. An overview of the video, we will be discussing here the four senses, that is the light sense where we will stress on light minimum, we will learn visual adaptation and types of vision. Then we will discuss about form sense where we will learn about the difference between grating acuity and vernier acuity. Moving on, then we will discuss about sense of contrast and finally we will end the video with color sense discussing about types of cones and photopigments. Now, whenever the retina is stimulated by light, four kinds of sensations are generated: light sense, form sense, sense of contrast and color sense. Talking about light sense, so it is the ability to perceive light along with gradations of intensity. That is, your retina is capable to perceive light. Along with it, it is able to differentiate whether the intensity is low or whether it is of high intensity. If the light which is falling upon the retina is gradually reduced in intensity, there comes a point when it is no longer perceived. This is called the light minimum. In simple terms, the light minimum is the minimum brightness or minimum light which is required to evoke a sensation of light. Obviously, the light minimum for cones is higher, that is, it is illuminated or activated only in presence of medium or high intensity of light. On the other hand, rods, they can be illuminated even by low intensity of light. So whenever we talk about light minimum, the highest or higher amount of light minimum is by fovea. Why fovea? Because it has got the maximum number of cones. Thus, its light minimum is higher. That is, the minimum brightness required is higher than the other peripheral regions of the retina. Talking about visual adaptation, so it is the ability of the visual system to allow good visibility in different lighting situations, either low lighting or bright lighting. Now, these are of two types further, the dark adaptation and the light adaptation. Now, imagine yourself in a movie theater hall. Whenever you will enter the hall, that is, you will go from bright to dim light. This adaptation is known as dark adaptation, how your retina adapts itself to dim light. This takes approximately 30 minutes to occur. It takes quite a lot of time. And the rods over here, they are more sensitive to low illumination, correct? So that is why they play an important role in dark adaptation than the cones. Now your movie has been finished, you have finished watching it. Now we will enter again to the hall outside. So here you are going from a dim to a brightly lightened room. So this is known as light adaptation, and you will experience it yourself also that this occurs very quickly, over 5 minutes. So this is faster than the dark adaptation, and strictly speaking, light adaptation simply means disappearance of dark adaptation. Also, this visual threshold thing, so whenever you will go from bright to dim light, the visual threshold will form because the light intensity is decreasing, and it occurs vice versa here, that the visual threshold will rise in dark adaptation because you are going from a darkly lightened room to a bright lightened room. Now, imagine yourself a situation that what are the cells which are playing major role in dark adaptation? Yes, excellent. These are the rods. So what happens when the rods are affected? Your dark adaptation will be delayed or affected, right? So any disease which is affecting the rods, that will lead to delayed dark adaptation, and thus you will have problem in low light vision such as night, right? So the patient becomes virtually night blind in diseases which affect the rods particularly, and these are the diseases retinitis pigmentosa and vitamin A deficiency. Next comes types of vision. So there are three types. One is scotopic vision, photopic and mesopic vision. Scotopic means dark. Alright. so which occurs in dark or low light. So obviously the rods play an important role, occurs in nocturnal or night living animals such as bats. These are the keywords which I am pointing out here. Then comes photopic vision, which occurs in daytime or bright light, obviously done by cones. Occurs in diurnal animals such as squirrels, which do not have any rods but only cones, right? Okay, and the third thing is mesopic vision, that is both thing happens here, both scotopic and photopic vision, neutral sort of vision, and here rods and cones both play a role, and it is seen in man or during the time of twilight when it is neither too dark nor too bright. Next, we will move on to the form sense. Now this is the ability to perceive the shape of objects in the outer world. And here cones play a predominant role. Again the concept that the fovea has the maximum number of cones, and thus the form sense is most acute at the fovea because here cones are closely set and most highly differentiated, and towards the periphery the form sense will gradually fall. There's a term visual acuity, and this is strictly speaking not, but it is a measure of the form sense, and it is the capacity to see fine details of objects in the visual field, how we are able to perceive two objects differently, and so on. The acuity of vision therefore applies to central vision, the images of which are formed at the fovea. Let's discuss about visual acuity over here. Now visual acuity has got 4 components, and this might help you to understand this betterly. First thing is the minimum visible. Just imagine yourself in your mind an object such as a pen. I am holding a pen, for instance. Are you able to see or not whether the pen is present or not? That is known as minimum visible. Next things, suppose I keep 2 pens very closely. Then either you are able to discriminate the 2 spatially separated targets or not. This is known as resolution, whether you are able to distinguish them as 2 different objects separated by some distance. This is known as ordinary visual acuity or grating acuity. Then comes recognition. Now closely observe this chart. This one is the Snellen's chart. Now I ask you to test your visual acuity, but what if you are able to distinguish it as T and Z, but you don't know the alphabets? Just think like that. You don't know the alphabets. Then even if you will be able to identify these things as 2 separate objects, you won't know what are these objects. So here in recognition, discrimination has to be present, plus the patient is able to identify the patterns with which he has got some experience. If you don't know the alphabets, or you are illiterate, if the patient is illiterate, then he won't be able to recognize. This is the third component of visual acuity. And the fourth thing is vernier acuity or minimum discriminable. Look at this chart now here. This one is the Teller's chart. As you can see, the lines over here, they are being closer and closer. Okay, so one after another it is being graded. So you are able to see this. This was up to your threshold level. Now what happens that the spatial distinction by an observer, when the threshold is much lower than the ordinary acuity, what happens at such time? Let us see an example in a picture to understand this. Now in this image, if you are able to appreciate this thing, the lines are quite parallel. There is just a slight misalignment in the lines. This is known as hyperacuity or vernier acuity. Either you are able to distinguish or identify this misalignment or not. And this is more acute and more important than the grating acuity, because usually people tend to see and observe and are able to identify these things or are able to resolve these things. But this slight misalignment that is often missed out, and this might be your vernier acuity might be absent in certain disease too. This is also a chart for measuring the Vernier acuity, and you see this is quite difficult in patients such as amblyopia and other diseases. Okay, so moving on next to the sense of contrast, and this is the ability to perceive slight changes in luminance, that is brightness, between regions which are not separated by definite borders. If you were able to see the Teller's chart, or here these are the lines, so the lines are differentiated, right, and they have a definite outline. So that is the thing with visual acuity, when you are able to perceive sharp outlines of relatively small objects. But here, in sense of contrast, the objects are not separated by definite borders or outlines. So gradually the luminance will decrease, and you have to check whether you are able to identify this or not. In many diseases, loss of contrast sensitivity is more important and disturbing to the patient than the loss of visual acuity, and this might result in mild fogginess of the vision as well. Now, in which diseases do you think, and what factors affects the contrast sensitivity? So it is age, refractive errors, glaucoma, amblyopia, diabetes, optic nerve diseases, and lenticular changes. Further, contrast sensitivity may be impaired even in the presence of normal visual acuity. So if you are able to identify two different things, that is fine. But if you are not able to appreciate the contrast, then that is loss of contrast sensitivity. The fourth thing is color sense, and it is the ability to distinguish between different colors as excited by light of different wavelengths. The appreciation of colors is a function of the cone and therefore occurs only in photopic vision, that is with lights of moderate or high intensity and with some degree of light adaptation of the retina. In very low intensities of illumination, such as during night time or darkly adapted eyes, they see no color, and all objects are seen as grey, differing somewhat in brightness. This is known as Purkinje shift. Where in dark illumination you see all the objects grey, varying in different brightness. Now coming to types of cones and photopigments. So you know there are three primary colors, that is red, blue and green. There are different types of cones. There are three types of cones which get excited by different wavelengths of light. Now if the wavelength is 420, then they will excite S type of cone. S means short, right? Short wavelength cone type. And this color is usually of blue. So this is blue. The name of these cells is beta. B for beta, B for blue. Then if the wavelength falls somewhat around 530 or 534 you can say, then this will excite, and this will be exciting the M type of cone type, that is medium wavelength cone type, which are known as gamma. So green color is being excited. And finally the wavelength of around 560 nanometer, that will excite the L type of cones, that is the long wavelength type of cones, that is psi, and also the R. Red color is seen through this. And also the four classes of photopigments, of course this grey color or black and white vision, dim light vision, this pigment is the rhodopsin pigment, and it is being excited somewhat near 498 nanometer. The four classes of photopigments are found in human photoreceptor, that is cone cells. So whenever light of their intensities or their range will fall, these cones will get excited and these cones will produce such colors. The pigments are named something like blue colored pigments in the blue photoreceptors are known as synopsin. The green one are known as chloropsin, and the red one of course are known as the erythropsin. And finally the fourth one was rhodopsin thing. And all colors as well as white light can be formed by a combination of these three colors in suitable proportions. Hence, normal color vision is called trichromatic, red, green and blue. Okay, so with this we end our video. If you have any doubt, do let me know in the comment section if you have any comments there too. And yeah, please like the video and share the video if you like this.